What I'm talking about is trying to get more peace, balance, and harmony into your lives, and that's what you're seeking. And part of that peace, balance, and harmony comes from those amazing moments of being plugged into the universe and sitting in meditation and having those incredible spiritual, I won't put that in inverted commas, I was going to say spiritual, but it's not, it's a spiritual experience. And that is the path of enlightenment, right? I guess, what is enlightenment? I don't know. I don't know what the dictionary definition of enlightenment actually is, but that's what we consider to be enlightenment. And again, this sort of follows on from what we were talking about last week a little bit too. And there's no doubt that being in the flow and being in those moments gives us the connection and the power. And often that power that we connect to is the power of insight. It allows information to come to us, and we have those aha moments. And it's those aha moments where veils are lifted and we see, again, from a different perspective, quite often a non-duality perspective, what life is about. And then sometimes we frustratingly lose those moments very quickly, but sometimes we can hang on to them. But it's in those moments when actually we are achieving what we are seeking. But it doesn't matter how often or how well we connect, because we are always connected to our spiritual selves, to the management. We are always connected. It's just clearly, I mean, this is obvious stuff, isn't it? Clearly, we don't feel the connection. And this is where we repeat much of what we talk about all the time. There is the difference between the feeling of being in the flow and of being accepted by the management, warts and all, for all our faults and for all our darker aspects, the acceptance of the human being. There are those moments where we feel it and we know we're doing what we consider from our human perspective to be the right thing. We are in the right place at the right time and everything is as it should be. All of these sayings that come out as kind of like trite spiritual platitudes, but we feel it, so we know it's the truth. And then we come out of that meditation, all those moments of joy, and we're back in life. And here it is, hitting us with all its crap, and we don't feel in the least bit connected. And so we don't even think about what we think about in those moments, because we forget that actually, just because we can't feel them, the management are right there, because they are right here. Each one of us is a part with no separation. So that's where the non-duality aspect comes in. We cannot ever see life without the human perspective. And so when we even are lucky enough to access the depth of love that can be felt and perceived, and all of the glory, I'll use those terms which are getting quite kind of like echoing my C of E upbringing as a child, the glory of those moments. We can't lose their power. I've lost my train of thought, but it's taking me back to my days as a youngster in church. But the power doesn't leave us. And the point is that the mechanism of creation doesn't ever separate from us. So I do a lot of work with people that want to change the way they connect to spirit and to the universe, to the creator, to the ultimate creator. And we talk about our connection and as though it is something separate from us. Whereas really, we are living the connection. We are the living connection. In the same way as people sometimes say to me, oh, I've been told that human beings are a portal. Is this true? Well, yes, because we are the doorway, the constant access and interchange point between the spiritual energies and the non-spiritual energies. So we are at the crossing point, we are the portal. We allow through our flow or not the light or the dark. And commonly we consider the darker aspects of existence, of reality, of what we perceive to be the case, of the darker aspects of truth, if you want to call it that, as being the human aspects, the darkness that is there within every single person. And traditionally we say that the light comes from God, the universe, source. But we are constantly connected, and therefore we are a constant balance. It is simply our positioning within that balance that allows either the darkness or the light to come through and to be brought through the portal into the awareness of others that are actually the same. We are one in those moments. We are one all the time, but we don't experience the oneness unless we're in that flow, in that point of balance and harmony, which is peace. Those are the moments. But it is not for us to strive for those moments. Those moments are given as we flow through the entire 80 years plus. Our heartache that we can experience as we grow up, as we develop, as we change, as we follow our path, is not necessarily something to be avoided. It gives us, because we're based on the linear time frame, it gives us a point of reference, it gives us a point of change. We can see that this moment is not that moment. That moment is different to this moment. Otherwise, we would simply be in the point of peace and harmony and not human. So we are allowed those points of access, because those points of access are points that we have chosen to be allowed before we've even incarnated into this time frame, as we follow the path to varying degrees of predestined moments. And as we hit those points of peace, those points of balance, then we can either learn, or we can use that energy and that moment to change both ourselves and somebody else, something else, something else. Something that seems to be external to us, when it in fact is not. We are simply changing ourselves. But the feeling of the interaction between two objects is one that causes friction, that we've touched on before. And therefore this is why friction is important, because when we look at it from the human perspective, from this dual existence perspective, you need friction to make things work. If there was no friction, we couldn't move across the ground. And friction sometimes comes in the form of stress, or it can come in forms of the much darker energies that need to be overcome and fought. But sometimes fighting is found in actually passive action, where it is just acceptance. And it's always our seeming choice to allow either an action to occur or to allow a passivity. It doesn't matter.